Hello guys, my name is Naveed and I'm the Research Engineer for Enterprise Security in Redington. And today we are going to talk about Cortex XSOAR. So if you have been following the Redington channel and our webinar sessions, we have covered Cortex XDR or Cortex Security Operations Platform in our previous video. So Cortex XSOAR is a part of Cortex XDR, and we'll be talking about Cortex XDR today. So before jumping into the topic, we would like to know what are the challenges that security operations face. So if you have been following the trend of attacks and threats since the last decade, you can see that the attacks have grown in huge volume and have become more complex and more sophisticated in the past few years. Okay? So they're not just simple file-based attacks or simple one-stage or two-stage attacks. They are now multi-staged attacks with with the proper planning, with proper organization and execution. So human attacker groups, they select a target, which is quite critical in nature. It could be an organization like a financial organization or a government organization, or it could be a private organization, but with good reputation and revenue. And then they plan the whole attack. It could involve months or even a year or a couple of years to execute it. But the intention is to to cause harm to the target in terms of business or in terms of reputation, or it could be a personal grudge as well. Sometimes it even happens to be a cold war between the two countries, but in the end it causes a huge loss in terms of reputation and monetary and business, okay, to the target. So if these targeted attacks, they are multi-staged and they follow a framework called MITRE usually. So if you know about this framework, there are different stages in them, which is reconnaissance, then there is weaponization, then there is delivery, execution, and command and control, and action on objectives. So it starts with something like stealing the identity of an employee or of a user of a reputed organization or the target organization, and continues with finding loopholes to come to enter the network and a target endpoint, which could be a critical server or which will store critical data, or it could be an application, it could be a web server which will host a company's website. Whatever resource it would be basically the target endpoint and target resource and data that the attacker is targeting for. And then finally spreading across the network, finding more ways to harm the target, and finally the data breach and data exfiltration, which is taking the data that they need, sensitive data, and getting out of the network or the target network without without any without leaving any, I would say, clauses, okay, or proof, silently. So as you can see, the trend, it has been growing exponentially. Okay, since 1998 till present, you can see the evolution of the attacks, the complexity of the attacks, the volume of the attacks. It has grown exponentially. So so I would say security operations is the need of the day, okay, or of the minute, I would say, because targets and attacks are happening everywhere, and security operations, on the other side, it is becoming important, but there are many challenges related to that. Yeah, and security operations team, that's why they struggle, because as the organization's size, data, endpoints, network size increases, the complexity of managing the security operations for such an organization also becomes challenging. And the most important challenge is the alert fatigue. So if you are if you got a chance, or if you have been working with security operations team in the past or currently, you must be knowing that there are any security operations team faces thousands to around millions of security incidents per day. So as per the 2018 RSA conference and SC magazine report, on an average, around 1 million of security incidents or alerts are generated in a security operations team of an enterprise level organization. And then how are these alerts generated? They are generated by the different siloed products, security products like network security tools, network security solutions, endpoint security solutions, investigation and analytics tools, whatever tools and solutions that you see in an organization at different layers or different levels for protecting the organization's security posture. They come under, they become the security silos for that organization. So it could be your firewall, your endpoint security, your EDR, your NAC solution, whatever. So these tools and these solutions, they definitely improve the security posture of your organization, but they also add complexity to the for the security operations to install them, to manage them, and to report them, arrange for proper reporting of these solutions. So now with such a scaled organization, infrastructure, and products and processes, what is lost is operational efficiency of the security teams. So that's the main challenge. If you talk about that why do security teams struggle? They struggle to achieve operational efficiency. Okay, so and in the end, even if they are able to manage the alerts, manage the products, they still lose a lot of time in doing the repetitive tasks of of basically looking into the same type of incidents and working on the same type of incidents, escalating them. So this takes like 80% of their time. So for example, nowadays, phishing email is the most common type of incident everyone or every small, medium, or large organization faces. So if a security team is receiving 1,000 incidents per day and they have a team of 5, two on the layer 1, two on layer 2, and one on the layer 3. And the layer 1 is is just both the engineers or analysts. They are working on just the phishing emails for the whole day, for a couple of days, like maybe a week. How do you think are they productive? They're not productive. They're just using their time to just do the usual tasks or repetitive tasks of handling only one type of incident. So whereas the other type of incidents, they're not even looking at it. So when they start looking at it, that is something which is new for them. So it will take more time to investigate and find the do the root cause analysis, find the problem and resolve it. So the mean time to resolution becomes in days, I would say, not even in hours. So the challenge here is operational efficiency, and any security operations team should focus on bringing the mean time to resolution in minutes, even in seconds, rather than hours or days. So this is how a typical security operations team works. And there are different technologies or different silos like SIM, EDR, NTA, cloud, even cloud solutions, which are generating a lot of, which are basically ingesting a lot of data. As you can see, SIM, it collects log data, alert data, threat intel data from various data sources like firewall, EDR. Nowadays, there is something called XDR as well, and even NAC solutions. Whatever data source that you see in your organization, they give data to SIM. Similarly, endpoint, log events are given to EDR, NTA collects network, tab data, etc. So all of these logs and alerts are then collected and worked upon by the SOC team. So they build their dashboards, reports, and they work on the alerts. And if they are they are proactive, and if they are fast enough to do the incident response in time, they can focus on something called as hunting. Okay, but most of the time, the security operations team, they get caught up into the repetitive incidents, the bulky incidents, which are the same, and because there is no way to work on them at once, or apply a single resolution for all the 1,000 incidents, for example, similar incidents like phishing email incident, they have to do the same tasks manually, and spend hours to resolve them. So they cannot move from the phase of incident response to the phase of which is reactive, okay, to the phase of being proactive, which is threat hunting, and they get stuck in the process of just doing the usual stuff of looking into the alert, generating a ticket, escalating a ticket, and closing it. No focus on new content development, like new correlation rules, working on new incidents, generating new forensic reports, and etc. So this again, as because many security operations team and organizations consider that having more security products and having more and huge security operations team is a better way to improve the security and overall security posture of an organization. But actually, it creates more complexity, more gaps, because with more security products, you will need more experts to work on them, and you will need to collaborate between, and the team needs to be collaborative. All the experts need to work together to resolve an incident, and it takes a lot of time. I would say it takes time in days rather than not even in hours. And secondly, if you consider the type of security operations platform that most of the organizations are using, are nowadays are limited to medium. Okay, so it in the past, the maturity of security operations platform being used by any security operations team was low, mature, which involved collection of standard logs, like a firewall, an endpoint, an next generation AV, or sometimes even a traditional AV, limited data resources, limited type of logs, and then creating simple rules to with a simple logic to just detect an incident, which is which didn't used to be sophisticated at that time, which was only depending on static parameters like signature of a file, IP addresses of malicious servers, and email domains, and senders, and etc. The low mature organizations were very much reactive. Nowadays, people are focusing on being more being not even totally proactive, not even totally reactive, in the between, where the data sources have become more rich, I would say. The security operations platform are collecting data from not just limited data sources, but I would say security and non-security relevant data sources. Okay, so it could involve your firewall, EDR, IPS, NAC solutions, uh, identity and access management systems, etc., which are related to security, but also other data sources like inventory solutions, HR portals, Active Directory, etc., which are related to which are related to uh, which are related in finding what is the cause of security incidents. So security data and non-security data together become a rich data source for the medium level security operations platform. And then the rules are also not simple logic based. They are these rules work on the multiple logs or multiple log data from data sources and find out relationship between them. So you have to understand what is the point of entry and point of at what time the incident started, and what and how it proceeded with every second, and then at what time it ended, and what impact it caused. So the detection logic improved, the rich the the I would say the data sources became more rich, the data became more rich, and partially the automation also happened. So the with API based integrations, with SDK based integrations, and even with simple out of the box integrations, the automation and the integration between the security operations platform and the tools and devices which on which the action should be taken to to resolve the incident, to prevent the incident, it evolved. Okay, so but it is still not enough. So now, the current security landscape needs a security operations platform which is highly proactive. So the data sources should be, I would say, similar to medium level security operations platform. They should be from each and every domain of your organization. It could be your security domain, your endpoint domain, your network domain, your identity and access management domain, your inventory domain. Every domain should give data to the basically organizational data will act as the data source for your highly mature or proactive security operations platform. And then here the rules are not just based upon correlation or looking into the different data sources and different data types. It will also it will try to find out behavior, or they will form a baseline of what is happening on a daily basis in an organization, or even it will monitor it for months and form a baseline of what is normal and what could be abnormal, and that is analytics based detection. And finally, automation. So there are solutions that can take actions without even the analyst or administrator telling it what to do or taking the action manually. It will be fully automated, programmatic, script based actions, and that is what is the need today. So as you can see, the security operations should be more efficient, should follow the green line rather than the gray line. That's how the transformation should happen. And there are solutions in the market that can help any security operations team achieve this level of operational efficiency. So, and we are one of the ones, one of the solutions that follow this approach, and then we can support our customers to become more proactive and set up a proactive, mature security operations team. So, but it will involve good data, filtered data, I would say, not just definitely data should be collected from every domain of your organization, but it should be filtered as to what is relevant and what is not relevant. Okay, and then analytics should be applied, not just correlation based rules or simple logic based rules, to identify what is to identify the highly critical and I would say medium level, highly critical and most important incidents that are happening in your organization. And finally, when such critical incidents are visible to the analyst, they should automate the action by within a click. Okay, so that will lead to the proactive response, and that's how the mean time to resolution for any incident would reduce from hours or days to hours, and even in minutes. So how do we do it? We have Palo Alto Networks has a platform which is known as Cortex. So if you have attended the previous webinar session, you must be knowing that Cortex is the security operations platform. It's also called Cortex XDR, which is X stands for anything. So it collects any kind of data, be it network or be it endpoint or be it even a cloud solution. It will collect data from all of these data sources, and it will provide you a platform to detect, to investigate, to respond, and even to automate the responses. Okay, so the approach that Cortex security operations platform follows is preventing everything that you can. So the platform is intelligent enough to understand what is known attacks, what are the known types of incidents, and it will prevent all of that at the network level. Okay, which through the next generation firewall, at the endpoint level through the endpoint security, and then even at the cloud infrastructure through the cloud VMs and cloud security solutions. But if there is something which is not known, yeah, definitely they will provide you with the platform and the data with the incidents and events and alerts to investigate. Okay, so here is where the analyst and the administrators come and use the platform to do the root cause analysis and to to investigate. But what Cortex provides is it automates the root cause analysis for the administrator. So the administrator don't have to do they just have to worry about the raw data. So the intelligence and the correlation is done completely by the Cortex platform, and they show what they show with their dashboards and reports what kind of incidents are happening and what time they entered the network and what time they caused the impact. And similarly, once the incident investigation response is done, Cortex XSOAR is the security orchestration and automated response solution for automating the responses. So, XDR, Cortex XDR will do the threat detection and investigation response, or investigation, I would say, but the response is automated by the Cortex XSOAR. So here, if an organization is facing 1,000 incidents every day, out of which 200 are of same type, 200 are of same type, and the rest are different, you can define same action for each and every incident. So similar action would work for all the same type of incidents, that can be automated programmatically with Cortex XSOAR. So this will save a lot of time. Okay, so like we said, Cortex XDR is a platform, or I would say one-stop shop for all your security operations. So it will integrate with your peripheral devices like network and next generation firewalls, area solutions, etc., with security orchestration and automation with Cortex XSOAR. It will also integrate with your paid or free threat intel feeds. It will provide you platform for the analysts to work together using their chat windows. Using the chat windows of Cortex, they can communicate with each other interactively on a single incident, and they can collaborate and work. And all the activity, all the chat, and all the activities that is being done by the analysts will be recorded for I would say for future as a part of forensics. And investigation response, definitely Cortex XDR provides you with the platform for seeing the alerts, for converting the alerts into case, and then escalating the case, managing the case, providing an SLA for the case, and assigning the actions before the SLA is expired. Excuse me. So and the detection is not just based upon, like I said, correlation rules, which looks into different data sources and data types, but it is more of behavior based detection based on machine learning. So it focuses on the malware techniques, the exploitation techniques, and any kind of attack techniques that are used by the attackers and the threats, rather than just the name of the malicious file, or the name of the or type of or name of the vulnerability that could be caused or that could be exploited. And endpoint protection, so Cortex XDR, they have their own agents that can be deployed on endpoints, which will use all the prevention techniques on the endpoints to protect and even collect through machine learning engine what is happening on the endpoints. So, but today's session is more about, this was a recap about Cortex XDR, or Cortex Security Operations Platform, how it provides a platform for incident detection, investigation, and automated response. But today's session is more on Cortex XSOAR, which was, I would say, previously called Demistro. So if you guys are aware, Demistro was a solution for security orchestration and automated response, which was acquired by Palo Alto last year, and they worked on the solution, and they I would say they changed it, they customized it, and integrated it with Cortex, and now it's called Cortex XSOAR. Okay, so SOAR stands for Security Orchestration, Automation, and Response. So in simple way, I would say orchestration means coordination. Okay, coordination of with the different types of peripheral solutions, like for example, the SIM, when SIM can be integrated with the Cortex XSOAR, and then it can be, and the alerts from the SIM can be ingested in the Cortex XSOAR. And what SIM says, this is a phishing email, and I need to check the reputation of the sender, or the reputation of the IP address from where it receives. So that can be taken care by the XSOAR, and it will check from the threat intel feeds the reputation of the sender's IP and sender's uh, email domain, and action can be taken on the firewall, for example, to block that IP address, or on the email filter to block that sender's email address and domain. So this coordination is what is orchestration. Now this can be done by the analyst, okay, but it will need him a lot of time. He needs to look into the SIM, he needs to look into the alerts, he needs to identify that this is a phishing email, or sorry, a phishing attack, first of all. I mean, he has to make sure that it is not a false positive, and then he has to then do the manual reputation check, then make sure that the reputation is valid, and then take the necessary actions on the email filter and the next generation firewall to block it at the network level. So this coordination is manually can be done, but it will take a lot of time. So this coordination can be automated with Cortex using something called as playbooks. Okay, so this orchestration can be achieved using something called as apps and APIs, and then automation. Uh, this uh, so this coordination is achieved now. Okay, so now the actions for each and every incident, like for phishing incident, you need to take a set of actions, set of steps that needs to be followed to do the root cause analysis, and to take the action. And then once the root cause is identified, to take the action and then record the action, so report the actions or the responses that are taken. So all of that can be done by automation, which is through playbooks. Playbook is nothing but a rule book that is created for each incident with respect to what actions should be taken. And then response. Okay, so response is, I would say, it is more of recording what responses were taken by each and every analyst for each and every incident. Okay, so it is detailed, case management. So case means an incident or an alert is just a a notification that this has happened. A case is more of that is just the case. The alert becomes just a heading for the case, I would say. It case is more of the actions taken, at what time, what each and every detail about the investigation, the findings, and what kind of I would say technologies were involved, what kind of I would say experts, or what kind of expertise was involved, everything about the incident, so that it can be recorded and used by the future analysts for similar incidents, or even incidents that could be related to such incidents. So it's mainly about case management, analytics, and reporting, and collaboration. So using using Cortex XSOAR, multiple analysts can chat and work. An analyst can invite another analyst to work on that on an incident on which he is working, and they both can take actual responses, real-time responses, using command shells or command scripts on the technologies on which they need to take action. Yeah. So that's what we were talking about. So this is just a few pictures or few dashboards how Cortex XSOAR looks. So respond and automate means coordination. Manage incidents means they have their own case management dashboard where you can see the tickets. It will be, each and every incident will become a ticket here where analysts will work, and then once they start working, they will collaborate with each other. Okay, using something called as war room. A war room is nothing but a chat screen, and it's interactive screen for different analysts to work together. Everything that they do will be recorded, and even the chat, even the commands or scripts that they use during the investigation. So from left to right, it is alert ingestion, coordination with different technologies involved in the incident, then converting that incident into a case, and basically a ticket for the analyst to work and track the record or progress of the ticket, and then finally the activities that they do, or the investigations and everything, each and every detail that is done by the analyst during the incident is recorded and in a collaborative way. So, this is how I would explain in a simple way what Cortex XSOAR does. So, different technologies or different data sources like SIM, network security solutions, endpoint security solutions, email, I would say servers as well, and so many other data sources which are not related to security can give data or alerts to Cortex XSOAR. And Cortex XSOAR has different modules, which you can see is orchestration and automation for defining the steps for doing the root cause analysis and resolving an incident, and not just defining the steps but also automating them, make that steps happen without any admin or analyst intervention. And then if at all so after this, after automation orchestration, if at all an expert opinion or expert or human intervention is needed, they can analysts can work together in a collaborative way using Cortex XSOAR war room, which is a module that provides you with interactive facilities like chat and command windows where you can take actions on the endpoints on the network devices, okay, for preventive measures, and then case management. Whatever activities that you are doing will be recorded here, okay. And then they also have something which is threat intel management. So they have a dedicated module, so that they can integrate all the types of threat intel feeds, okay. It's not like just one or two or 10 feeds. They can integrate hundreds of feeds, and when you integrate so much of intelligence with the solution, there is a chance that it can cause duplication. It can cause false positive alerts. It could cause data that can be confusing. So it has a module to dedicate to manage all the threat intel feeds and correlate between them to authenticate the findings, and then to basically verify the authenticity of the findings and make sure that the data is not duplicated. So deduplicate it and use the threat in each relevant threat intel feed for each incident. So they can decide, the threat intelligence management module can decide what intel feed can be used for during which incident analysis. And then finally, this is so on the bottom you can see the input or ingestion of the data, and then on the top you can see the actions, okay. So the actions would be taken on the solutions, similarly firewalls, EDR, etc., using APIs or third-party tools. So it would involve assets. It would involve even people working on the platform to decide what actions should be taken. So I would say Cortex XSOAR provides a platform to integrate people, processes, and products. Okay, that's the best way to explain it. Yeah. So again, it's a visual view of how a workflow or automation will happen. So Cortex XSOAR can, basically you write workflows or playbooks. It's called playbooks, which is like a workflow. If you have worked on some kind of scripts before, you just know what is an algorithm, what is the workflow that you first define to make a code or to write a code. So it's nothing but steps for different kind of incidents. For example, phishing email, you have to follow these steps. You have to check these. There can be conditions. You can check. You can basically define conditions that to verify something that needs to be verified. And take some time and verify the authenticity of that step, and then take action in another step. So it's like this is a playbook, or this is a rule book where you define integration with hundreds of technologies, and then you can define thousands of actions. So it's highly scalable, I would say, and flexible to use. you can customize it as per your needs. Similarly, case management, which is more of a ticketing system, wherein an alert becomes an incident and it is assigned to an analyst. You can assign an SLA. You can monitor the key indicators of or key parameters that should be taken action on, and it's more of a reporting console for tracking the operational efficiency of the security operations team. And so collaborations, this is what is War Room, like I discussed before. It provides a interactive, a chat window with not just chatting. You can also take actions, real-time actions from the same console. So if you as an analyst, you're working on an incident and you think that you need an expert's help, you can invite that your senior to the same chat, and then you both can discuss what action has to be taken for this incident, and then you actually can take action from the same window. It provides you the command shell window to connect to the required device and take action, and automatically all the chat, all the actions that you have been doing will be recorded. Similarly, threat intel management platform, wherein all the threat intel feeds can be integrated with the Cortex XSOAR, and all the indicators can be managed, and it can be all the indicators can be used according to the different incidents to enrich the findings, and finally you can close the investigation with the help of threat intel feeds. So the breadth of Cortex XSOAR use cases are huge, I would say, are many. So you can see what kind of data sources can be used to give the events and alerts to Cortex XSOAR. SIEM, XDR or EDR, even cloud security solutions can give alerts. Vulnerability scanners, email, I would say filters or email, firewalls. Okay, and then ticketing systems, threat intel feeds, all of them can give data to Cortex XSOAR, and then a Cortex XSOAR can using its different modules, it can identify what kind of incidents it needs to work on, and then it will respond. I would say it will not just respond; it will enrich the findings with the different modules that it has to work on, and then it will respond. Okay, in terms of actions with the help of these different technologies like threat intel, EDR, sandboxing, email web gateways, ticketing, etc., etc. So to best explain security of operations with Cortex XSOAR, I would say an action like in case of an identity theft or attempt, I would say the Cortex XSOAR can take an action of password reset. Okay, or if a user has been traveling from multiple times from one location to another, it can identify the pattern of that unusual travel. Okay, so in terms of vulnerability management, I would say Cortex XSOAR can ingest vulnerabilities from Qualys or other scanners, and and the playbooks, they can automate the CVE enrichment. Okay, so once the CVE is collected and has been automated, analyst can trigger manual responses. For example, using a I would say vulnerability or patching solution like Tanium. Okay, so here Cortex XSOAR will coordinate with Qualys for vulnerability assessment and management, and Tanium for patching. Similarly, it can take actions on OT and IT environments as well. So Cortex XSOAR can integrate with SCADA solutions, etc., which are into IT and OT, IoT, I would say. Yeah. So here you can see what kind of integrations are available with Cortex XSOAR. So it's in different domains: analytics and SIEM, threat intel, malware analysis, endpoint, network security, authentication, email gateway ticketing, and whatnot, and many more. So yeah, so one of the use cases. So we'll look into the use cases quickly as to what Cortex XSOAR can do majorly for their security operations team. So it is IT and security process automation, or I would say more of organizing the people and processes in a streamline. Yeah. So we have been seeing in previous slides as well that security operations is it involves people, processes, products, but it is not organized. As the organization size increases, scale increases, the number of security products also increase. The security posture will improve, but the complexity of the security infrastructure becomes more complex. Yeah, it becomes more, and managing that is also difficult. So this is what is silos based approach and shifting context and lack of metrics. This is all, the processes are disjointed. Now when you want to investigate an alert, you have to look into 10 technologies, 10 windows, and coordinate with 2-3 analysts and then solve the challenge. So this is what it used to be before Cortex XSOAR would organize your security processes. But with Cortex XSOAR, which was Demisto before, that's why you can see the D icon. You basically ingest all the alerts from different technologies like SIM, firewall, endpoint security, vulnerability management, etc., etc. And then say analyst still has an upper hand on the platform to work upon. He defines the processes and with built-in and custom policies, and then the actions are taken on the point products, which are nothing but the same solutions like firewalls, endpoint security solutions, etc. The data sources that ingest the data, they again receive response from SOAR solutions or XSOAR or Demisto to take action on these, on what action should be taken on these for these incidents. Okay. So in this way, it becomes a centralized incident management and security solution. It provides you with more context, with more communication, and more operational efficiency by reducing the mean time to resolution from days to just minutes. And the world famous phishing response use case, which is addressed by Cortex XSOAR. So before phishing or I would say even still now, till the date, phishing emails and phishing techniques are the most common ways of which are used by an attacker to bypass the security measures and taken by the organizations and to enter the network. So and you can see most of the security operations team, they face more alerts for phishing attacks. And again, as we saw before, in a security operations team, a lot of disjointed technologies, disjointed processes, and many people are involved. It causes again a lot of time to investigate, and phishing attack is the most common attack nowadays that you can see. So it's always better to focus on them first. And again, they are the most common type of incidents that cause the bulky ones to and take most of the time of the analyst to in investigating. So here it's just an example of how before phishing email would be taken action upon by manual investigation or manual triage by an analyst, and how an analyst can use or automate it, the investigation and response using Cortex XSOAR. So if you see on the left side, if a phishing email is received on the email server, the security analyst have to first of all integrate its SIM or its whatever tool they are using for investigation and response with the email server to make sure that all the emails are being viewed by the analyst. And then he will have to look into each and every email and verify the reputation of each and every email so that he can confirm what is a phishing email, what is not. Because the phishing emails or phishing techniques have become so sophisticated nowadays that they finding a phishing email and a legitimate email has become very, very difficult. Even though you feel that it's a legitimate email, it becomes a it sometimes turns out to be a phishing email, so or phishing attack. So similarly, most common way is emails. So you need to integrate your solution, your platform, or your tool, whichever you're using for investigation and response, with the emails solution. And then once you have identified a phishing email, you need to start investigating on it or start working on it, and you will use threat intel feeds to to check the reputation of the sender's IP address, domain, and email address. Then you will collect all the context, verify that if such indicators are visible in the SIM solutions, how many endpoints are infected by this phishing email, how many users have received it, etc., etc. And then, if there is a malicious attachment in it, you will detonate it in the sandboxing solution, and you will, if there is, and if there's a file which has been downloaded, same file has been downloaded on multiple endpoints, you will take action on the EDR solution to quarantine that file, and finally raise a ticket or incident and raise the severity of that, and show, keep the status as in progress or open. So these tasks are all manual tasks, and an analyst has to do it. It will definitely take, I would say, a couple of hours to do that if the analyst is an expert. If it's an L1 analyst, it would take a couple of days, to perform all these actions to close the incident. So now it has been observed that it becomes the mean time to resolution becomes in minutes when you come to Cortex XSOAR here. All of these actions can be defined in the workflow. All the integrations can be done using out of the box apps or APIs or custom SDKs, and then the incident can be defined as a ticket or as a case, and all the actions will be monitored and recorded, and basically an SLA can be defined, and the incident can be resolved within that SLA using Cortex XSOAR. So the key differentiators is automating and standardizing the phishing response. So the integrations, product integrations, what all we saw in the previous slide can be done by Cortex XSOAR. There are out of the box. Out of the box means built-in or readily available playbooks for well-known incidents. You can also customize it or use them as a standard to customize the your or write your own playbooks using those out of the box playbooks as templates, and take automated actions. So you saw there are 100 plus integrations and 1,000 plus actions readily available for with the XSOAR. And one of our customers have also I would say recognized us, and they have basically they used Pokemon company. They used Cortex XSOAR for not only automating actions on their on-premises next generation firewall, but they also took used Cortex XSOAR to automate actions on their AWS infrastructure. So they had Palo Alto next generation firewall. They used Cortex XSOAR to block a malicious IP address on that, and for the on-premises next generation firewall, and then on the cloud front, they basically on the cloud side, I would say, they basically used Cortex XSOAR to block the use of AWS SQS service and AWS Lambda function by some IP addresses. So Cortex XSOAR, yeah, the value stands, throughout our discussion, which what we conclude now is, standardizing and scaling the process. So the basic thing or the first thing that Cortex XSOAR does, even though without getting into the investigations, responses, and reducing the mean time to response, is standardizing the scaling and scaling the processes. Bringing together people, process, and products. So reducing the alerts from 10,000 to 500, reducing the response time from 3 days to 25 minutes, and even coordinate the actions between the security products. So you can see there has been huge improvement in the operational efficiency of a security operations team. Even Gartner has recognized us, and we are called the cool vendor. Demisto was called cool vendor in 2015 by Gartner. And that's what Palo Alto Networks do. They collaborate and they bring technologies together, and that's what they have done this time. And this is about some I would say recognition about or some facts about the company. Palo Alto Networks has 85 out of Fortune 100 customers. They have been growing even exponentially year by year, and they have got also a good score in customer satisfaction. That is it. Thank you. So if you have any questions, please write it in the question and answer window, and I would be happy to answer them.